So Don, can you give us a quick overview of your background?
Sure. I'm a 30-year experienced avionics aerospace engineer, and I've worked at facilities, NASA facilities, from JPL to Goddard Space Flight Center to Lockheed Martin, a number of avionics companies, including McDonnell Douglas and Boeing and so forth.
And so how do you go from that to Azure wrinkle-reducing devices?
Well, it's kind of interesting because my last position at JPL, I did a lot of work with lasers and LEDs, and my wife asked me once, she had bought something at Nordstrom called Tanda, and she brought it home, and it was supposed to treat her wrinkles, and she got it from Nordstrom, and she brought it home and it didn't work, and she said, "Don't you know a lot about lasers and LEDs?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Can you make me something that really works, because this doesn't?" And so I did. I started looking into this type of therapy, starting with lasers, and moved into LEDs as they became more powerful. And so that's really the like a genesis of how this got going, why I moved from spacecraft systems to ground-based medical devices.
One of the things that people always want to know is, why is this device, why is our light therapy device better than anybody else's? So we want to tell you a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm the Chief Tech Officer. I design these devices, and I have an aerospace avionics background. I know quite a bit about lasers and optics, and I've taken that into this design effort for the Radiance and the Orion devices. The Radiance and Orion devices have more than double the power of anything that's in the market right now. They're actually miniaturized versions of dermatology panels. The panels that you would find in a doctor's office are too big to use at home, but we have taken that and put it into a small, ergonomic, well-made, medical quality product that you can use at home, battery operated. What's different about ours is the power levels. I mentioned they're twice as powerful as anything in the market, and we use only the highest grade super intense LEDs, and we don't find that in other companies' products. Our clinical trials show that these devices, the Radiance and the Orion, really work if you use them. They're powerful enough, and they will do what you want to do, which is to reduce wrinkles and stimulate collagen. It takes power to do that, and we've got that power.
Okay, well, we have the two handheld devices, and they treat 3 times the diameter of the device, so they're not something you hold in one spot like light stim. The power output in terms of energy is, without saying the exact number, it's 4x more than anyone else has. We use 4 wavelengths, and they are the ones that are clinically trial proven, both from PubMed and NCBI and numerous professional panels that generally come from Korea. And so we had a clinical trial done on the Orion with an FDA certified clinical trial house. They don't do Photoshop. Those are real images of real people. So our device, the 2 devices are pretty much unmatched in terms of power. They are unmatched in terms of power. And power is the important thing, as well as the wavelengths and the pattern. And Dada probably showed you the leopard spot LEDs that you get that are out there right now, and how those, when you're trying to treat fibroblast strands, which are linear strands, you can't have an even pattern of light administered with those. With that type of technology, we have lensing on ours, so that's why ours is a nice solid round pattern that you glide along the surface of the dermis, and that's why the device works really well through the clinical trial. And then, it's worked well on me. It's worked well on a number of people, and the panelized operation, most of the flat panels, they are designed a number of years ago, and the problem with a flat panel is that nobody's face is flat. So you put these flat panels up, and the power level around the curvature drops precipitously. It's a law of physics called the inverse proportional law. And so having something that's either in direct contact with LEDs, with the dermis, or like an eighth of an inch away is ideal. But moving it away from the face, if you take something like a flashlight and you look at the flashlight and shine it up against the wall, it's really bright circle of white light. And then you move it back 2 inches and it's 4 times the size. So the power into that area, that's important for stimulating collagen or treating acne. You've decreased that power, and the light is still bright, but because you've moved it away from the surface, you've decreased the power that's actually hitting the target area, the dermis, or whatever you're treating. And that's just simple physics. So this is why we designed these two handhelds to be contacting the face, so it's a direct coupling of light energy, 4x the times of anyone else, and we have to put these wavelengths of light, we shine them through the person's tissue, and there's so much water in our tissue that the light also is diffracted or bent by water. So this is why we have such high power, and why it works is that we overcome some of that refraction and reflection, and we get down 2 and 3 millimeters down to where the fibroblast strands are sitting, and that's how we irradiate a whole strand of for instance, collagen, and that part of it is critical to stimulating, the adenylphosphine and the thing called the sodium-potassium pump, which regenerates collagen tissue, collagenic tissue. That's a little long.
No, it was great, and they're really excited to see the Genesis too. We just showed the video of the Genesis pods.
The pods have 56 LEDs in them, and they all have domed lenses with hundreds of facets. The treatment for acne in wavelength is different than the treatment for cellular regeneration of collagen. They're not the same. Some of them are identical, but the wavelength that is required for the maximum, or the premium or the best wavelength for killing acne vulgaris happens to be 415 nanometers blue. I'm aware of a lot of the devices that are out there that treat acne, and they may work somewhat, a little bit, but none of them are operating at what we will operate, which is the clinically proven 415 nanometers. That's the one that affects the acne vulgaris the best. The other advantage that we have is we use an infrared, high energy infrared LED, which other companies don't do. And that part of it, in the usage that we've had with the trial Lyra devices, has shown that it's a long-lasting solution to get people away from having to use NaL or Accutane. And it's really pretty holistic here. We're not doing anything that damages anything. We're only trying to build tissue or correct acne as it comes to the surface. Then you need to also do something about why it's coming to the surface, and that's in the sebaceous gland, and that's what the infrared energy that we have will heat the sebaceous gland, and over time can shrink that and allow less acne to form from the sebaceous gland. Another kind of long thing, but there it is.
Yeah. So Don, also, we were talking earlier. So I had a client doing microneedling, and she's like, well, I would rather have the light stem because it hovers. So when the Genesis comes out, of course, that's going to be easier. But with this one,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, with the Radiance and the Orion devices, we have had people use them that don't want it to touch their face. So what they do is they just reach up with their index finger and touch the metal ring. And so the light turns on like it thinks it's touching your face, but it's not. And then they just position their fingers about 1/8 of an inch away and glide their finger along their dermis so that it doesn't have to touch their face. So for acne that is open sore, with the Lyra device, we have people that had that issue, and that's exactly what we did. The power level does get decreased, but again, it's a pretty insignificant level of power that gets decreased if you stay really, really close to the face. It's when you move it away some distance, again, that's a technical term, but a simplification is if you have something that's an inch right up next to the surface and you move it 2 inches away, you have the inverse proportion, so it's a 2 times less powerful than if you were touching your face. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I suppose it does. I mean, people can just take a flashlight and know that. When you move it away from the wall, the light energy into an area, and that's the important thing. How much energy do you have into the treatment area? Not how much energy you have flooding a wall. You want to treat small areas on someone's face, and that energy level, it's called power density, needs to be very high in order to be efficient at treating either wrinkles or acne. Wrinkles especially, because you've got to push light through the dermis, and then you've got to push it through the water molecules inside of us, and that's a task that if you have something low powered, it either will take forever or it won't work at all.